Hello and welcome to Web of Light with Angie and Dr. Kevin. Hey Angie.
Good morning, Dr. Kevin.
How are you today?
Doing fine. How you been doing?
Well, I'm here.
You're here. Yeah.
I'm here. I think I'm here. Am I here or is
We're-
it an
we're
extra? We're here. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is the beginning of our series of Web of Light. And I'm really happy to be starting to share this with the community of Hudson, as well as other communities in the area and surrounding spaces in other states as well.
I want to share it all across the world.
Well, we could do that too.
That way it makes Hudson the center of the universe. And if you talk to some people in Hudson, they would tell you that that's a true statement.
It could be very true. So today we're going to be starting out today with the quote of the day. And I'm going to let Dr. Kevin start the manifestations of that piece.
Okay. Well, every week, as you join us on Web of Light, our first segment is actually called Wow, which is Words of Wisdom, where Angie or I introduce a quote or something that we feel would bring wisdom into your life. And then we're going to spend a few minutes discussing that. And after that, we'll be bringing in our guest for the day, or guest as the case may be. So, Angie, you have this first quote. So I'm going to let you go ahead and read that quote, and then we're going to get started.
Well, look what happened to my thing.
Your quote.
There it is.
Magic.
It's magic. Magic on the phones. I'm actually dedicating this quote today to a wonderful life that has just passed, Muhammad Ali. His quote that he always used was, "Don't count the days, make the days count." And when he was told he was the greatest fighter, his response was, "No, I'm not. The greatest fighter never threw a punch." So I start out with that quote because I feel that it is in the moment of Muhammad Ali passing. He was a very great fighter. However, he was a very kind-hearted person. And I love the idea that he could actually say, "Don't count the days, make the days count," which is very important to us in our communities and in our everyday life, because that's what really matters, is making every moment count.
Well, and I think that it's so easy to let time slip through your fingers. It's so easy to get distracted into things that are unimportant but are persistent. Mm-hmm. And that will eat up your time if you let it. And I know that through the years when I've taught classes and spoken and stuff like that, there's that whole exercise of, if you looked at the number of minutes or the number of hours, or even the number of seconds, and you said, "I'm going to spend those like writing checks," and you went back and you audited what your checkbook looked like, what categories did that time fall into? How many of your minutes in a day or seconds were spent on something that when you looked at, you were actually surprised, even horrified by? I mean, I haven't owned a TV for like 15 years. And when people's whole lives center around a character, a mythical character, and the highlight of their life is, whoa, what did that character do this week? How is that really spending our time wisely? I don't know. What do you think?
No, we should go out into our community, and that's what we're based about, bringing community together, sharing time with those that always are in the light. The Web of Light, of course, our programming is all about bringing out those that are having positive values to this space that we call Earth. So, it's like, yes, every moment really counts, and you don't have to be sitting in a TV set. There's so many things that can keep you involved in the world without the use of a TV. And even sometimes with the electronics, we get into a game, and some people spend countless moments playing a game on their, little video phone or something.
I like that.
You know what your finger's gonna feel like when you're about our age.
Didn't we used to play a game like that? The Thumb Wars. Maybe we can
it's like, I always used to say when my children were younger, because they were a part of this, they'd have this out and they'd be doing their thing, and I'd say, "Put that down, shut it off, and look outside and see what's around you." And now it's like you entertain your children by giving them some form of a video and saying, okay, go ahead, play with that while we take our ride. And then you find that these children haven't experienced half of the things that natural things around us.
Well, and I think that one of the other things that's important is the piece of awareness. There is such a lack of awareness for most people as to exactly where did their time go. Back to the exercise. You know, one of the reasons why I like my students to do the exercise is so they actually see it.
Yeah.
Because we do this thing, and you hear this in so many different versions and so many different quotes. You know, you blink and you're 10, and you blink and you're 20, and you blink and you're 30, and then you're blinking, and then you're not blinking anymore, and you're dead. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait a second, what happened?
Where you go, yeah. I actually have a similar exercise, and it actually breaks up your time into what categories you use during the day. You know, were you working, were you playing, were you with family, were you with friends, were you just sitting there like a slug, were you exercising, you know, different, so that they do. And I'll tell you, it's almost like a pie chart. And so when the people actually take the moment to do this, like you said, it's like, wow, I do all that time doing this. What happened to, like, maybe my child, or what happened to myself walking and getting my own relief? So yeah, it's very important to look at all the moments.
Yeah, it's really sad when you look at a pie chart and you realize your biggest piece of pie was full of artificial sweetener. Because we know that it causes poison, right? I mean, we know that there's a death issue with sweeteners. And I would say that looking at the pie chart and seeing that most of your time was artificially sweetened. It wasn't about living life. It was about observing life being lived and living your life through other people. Why would you want to live your life through other people when you have you're a people yourself? Live it through you. So now the second part of that quote was about the greatest fighter never threw a punch.
Yeah.
What do you think he meant?
What do I think he meant?
Yeah, I know what I think he meant. I'm asking you.
Yes.
Right now, we're the only two people here. The other two people are hidden.
To me, it's...
We'll introduce them in just a minute, but
okay.
Right now they're still
we'll
hidden.
Do this. Okay, the greatest fighter.
They're
his
pretend
response
people.
was, no, I'm not the greatest fighter. Never threw a punch. You know, what he meant from that was that it's... you don't have to have bickering and war and unsettlement. You can resolve things with positive. Okay, myself, I train all the time with people. If somebody comes to you with a negative attitude or gets ready to swing that punch at you, talk to them and bring them into their positive value before you start getting involved with that. And if they do give you a swipe, don't retaliate. It's not worth it. Just hold back and give them the reasons why they shouldn't be reacting this way.
Well, and part of it is, I always remember the story. The reason I like that quote is, I always remember a story that a friend of mine who was a Tai Chi master told me about how Tai Chi was originally a martial art. Mm-hmm. And now we all think of Tai Chi as a very slow meditative process. But that Tai Chi at one point was considered the greatest martial art. And that when you trained in it, that the ultimate, being the ultimate Tai Chi master, was being so within yourself and so aware of messages and what was going on, that it wasn't that you could win the fight, it was that you chose a course that avoided it. Like you just didn't go down the street. Like so over centuries it stopped being considered a martial art because people who truly were Tai Chi masters never had to fight.
Correct.
But when they fought, they were considered the best fighters. And so when somebody throws energy at you, you just take the energy and you help it on its journey to go past you. Mm-hmm. You don't stand in front of it, you don't take it on, you don't own it, you don't make it about you, you let it be about them. And let them do whatever it is they need to do, and you just simply step aside.
Well said.
Okay. Well, I think it's just about
I think
time.
it's time to introduce
It's our guest.
our guest.
So before we do that, I'm going to take 1 second just for our audience, because this again is our first show. Our next show next week, we will be talking a bit about Angie and myself. We're going to be talking also about, how this show is going to unfold. For those of you who like a little peek into the future, but right now we had an opportunity to grab somebody when they were passing through town. We wanted to grab them before they left. We had a second grab, so we grabbed them both, and we're going to do a slightly odd show today, which probably we can say about every show in some way.
Well, most of our shows may be odd, so just be ready for it.
Now, and I have a firm belief, which is I could try to memorize everything about these people and get something wrong, or I could pick up a piece of paper and read it. And I believe...
And we're on that same pattern of belief, because even if I know somebody very well, which I do, there are things that I don't want to miss out on. So I'm going to start out by bringing on our first guest, which is Rama Ignacio. And he is a spiritual teacher, a channel, and a vibrational sound healer. He's originally from London, England, and he now lives in Kansas with his wife and his children. He's got some adorable children and an adorable wife, too. So in the past, Rama has actually taken groups to the John of God in Brazil. He's led the sacred journeys to Assisi in Italy and channeled soul songs for people. He visits communities around the country, and he works as a vibrational healer in Kansas. He gives regular groups for channeling, sound healing, spiritual teaching. He also writing a book, developing our own divine connection, and now he already has CDs because he records music and he creates work with sacred sound. Rama, I'm going to let him speak for himself because I know that he's a very beautiful practitioner. His medicine is music. He works with autism, sleep disorders, anxiety, depression, addictions, energy blocks, digestion issues, IBS, infertilities, anti-immune system even. So he's interested in developing your connection with your divine. He's also interested in building community. And he helps support those who are hurting to understand their true journey and experience and healing themselves. He educates people to develop their intuition, prosperity, manifesting, working with different modalities to connect people with different degrees of receptivity. I'm going to introduce Rama right now. Rama, welcome to coming back to New Hampshire. Yeah. I know that you had a very busy weekend, and everybody was delighted that you were back, and he had actually gone into the Concord area and did some of his healing work, some of his John of God work, as well as some of his sound healing. Yeah. So I'm going to let you know, what brings you back to coming into New Hampshire?
Well, for one,
curious.
I do like to visit communities around. The word itinerant was said to me a few months ago, and then I looked it up, and it's like, oh, people used to do that back in the day. People used to go around, and that just feels right to me. So that's how it started. Actually, I'll tell you the story. Originally, I was going to be going to Ohio, then coming here, going back to Ohio, then back to Kansas. It would have taken me a couple of weeks. So we just had our third baby in December. And my wife said, "How long are you going to be away?" I said, 2 weeks. She said, "No, you won't." And so I explained to her what I was going to do. She said, "Well, we'll come with you." And she's from this area, New Hampshire, and we love to stay up in Hampstead, which I don't know if it's that direction, it could be that direction. We love to stay here, and I love to work in Concord as well with Amy there. It's just gone ridiculously well every single time. Yes. People very receptive. The energy is supported there. You couldn't ask for more, really. So New Hampshire is the second home for me, as far away as you could get from Kansas as could be, but.
That's a very interesting piece that you really love this area.
Oh, it really
Do you stay away from it in the winter?
Well, I've been here in winter a couple of times. Never saw a winter like it. It's biblical. I mean, walking from from our house to the car, my fingers would shrivel up. And you never get anything like that in England. It gets to a bit below zero, but that's about it.
Well, Kansas is not noted for having mild winters.
Oh no! It has semi-biblical winters as well, but just not for as long. But they don't know what to do with the snow there.
That's so interesting that a Bible Belt state has semi-biblical winters and a non-Bible Belt state has biblical winters.
Well, it's semi-biblical because I'm.
So it sounds like that the sound that one of the sounds that you most recently used to bring healing was the sound that you, when you said, "Yes, dear, you can come," and it brought healing to your family. Is that correct?
You could say that, but you make a good point because this expression "sound healing," I'm on the fence with it. I honestly don't like it because it gives power to something which is solid, right? Sound can be used for healing in terms of being a substance and being a conduit. Okay, so a crystal bowl or music at 50 BPM, I'm sure you're used to that. Mozart, whatever, is healing, is relaxing, but the actual healing is what comes through it. It's what comes through it, and so, well, I don't know if it was "Yes, dear, you can come" with what I said, but in the agreeance coming through the words, that opened up space, opened up something for our family. And so I would say the actual sonic or auditory or physical properties of sound that's used in sound healing, maybe 40% of what does the work. The rest is spirit, divinity, energy.
It's more vibrational.
Yeah.
Vibrational energy caused by the sound.
Exactly.
Now, there's a lot of discussion about how there are a lot of things are neither positive nor negative. They just are.
They just are.
And then it's the fingers which are holding it, which determines whether that energy is going to have a positive or negative impact.
Yeah.
Would you say that's true in sound?
I do. So let's say healing is its energy and then its intention, right? So you can have intention coming from here, or you can have intention coming from here, which is less balanced, shall we say. If we're in a bad mood or something, it will get sent out from our solar plexus. So it's the same with sound, really. I want to say the good thing about sound as a medium for healing is there is no mental component to it. And the messiness of, well, life really comes from that left-brained ideas, logistical part of us. Because, we don't know what the right thing is to do. None of us do. The real art is letting go, stepping out of the way, and letting the greater aspect of us come through and do what needs to happen. And for the first probably 15 minutes of a session I would give, all I'm doing is clearing someone. That's all that's happening. I'm not doing any healing. I'm just removing blockages from someone, removing the things that have been giving them a bad mood, bad sleep, anxiety, things like that. If we could see the cloud around us, we'd live life differently. But you're asking something else as well as that. There isn't good, there isn't bad, there just is. I get into conversations about opposing energies, right? And I don't want a conversation about it right now. But what I will say is those opposing energies will only activate in us the dysfunction that's already there for us to work on and graduate. So in that sense, I'd say you're right. There isn't good or bad, there just is.
But, we look at the fact that there are certain pieces of music that if you listen to, there is that they will relax,
yes.
They will soothe, music soothes the savage beast, so to speak, that will bring down the stress. And of course, anything that brings down stress is going to have a sidekick of some healing.
Mm-hmm.
There are music that, so even though there's nobody there,
mm-hmm.
the music is coming through the internet or through You know, they don't have albums anymore. Actually, they're making a comeback, but anyways, but it's coming through another source where there is no human component, but there are people that would say that there is a lot of healing that happens from listening to that CD
Yes.
or listening to that. So does it go back to the energy of the hands that created the music that held it? Or is it the hands that are receiving it that determines the energy?
Oh, it's very much both. Very much both. Just a few examples coming to mind. That song "Happy" by Pharrell, and you could listen to it again and again and again and again and again. So it was creating a very fresh energy. I think he was 5 in the morning. He hadn't even meant to write it, and it just came. Okay, so there's a very fresh live energy in that song anyway. You take another total other type of music like Rage Against the Machine. I was just thinking of this morning, and that's very clearing music. You know, if someone needs to move their anger, that's a good type of music to listen to. It's not going to make you more relaxed immediately, but it might take away what's been underneath you and niggling at you. And then you talk about receptivity, and therein lies everything for healing. Dr. Wayne Dyer passed recently, received a massive healing through the John of God, the Casa Apajania. I take that as a real statement of his ability to receive. Not everyone could receive that degree. That's a great being that could receive.
Yeah, and in reality, it's true. It is both aspects, because, you know, you can play your music for somebody if they're not, you know, you have to remember some people like to have jazz, some people like to have happy music. I also know people that they're not relaxed unless they're hearing heavy metal.
And I think a lot
But
of the art,
everybody has their own vibration.
a lot of the art of healing, of being a healer, if we can use that word, is finding out where someone will receive and how they will receive.
Yeah.
So someone won't receive by conversation necessarily. Someone else won't receive through sound, and someone else might not receive through touch. And that's really the judgment call of the practitioner to discover it.
So I'm going to bring our other guest in so that she can participate in these conversations, because
Yes.
she does healing with music in a completely different way. I want to welcome Lindsay Rinaldi. She is the executive director of the Nashua Community Music School. The mission there is that they believe in learning and performing music is a valuable experience, not only in the learning of innate value, but also instills discipline and learning techniques which can be applied to other school subjects such as math and literature. Equally important is the enjoyment and satisfaction that listeners and performers experience through live music. She has been the executive director since 2014, and her main goal is to uphold the mission of the school, as well as supply new inspiration and direction that will undoubtedly result in an exciting period of growth and enhanced musical opportunities. Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
We're thrilled to have you, because there's so much healing that happens from a child or a young adult discovering their talents and their gifts and being able to engage in music and have music be part of them. And I just saw, I've seen this clip a few times, but the clip of the town there's a small village in Africa where they made all their musical instruments out of garbage, out of junk, but they were determined that they were going to have instruments, and they had no money, but they took all of this trash and they created musical instruments and self-taught and did all of those stuff, which talks about the human need and desire to connect with music on some level. So tell us a little bit, first of all, what you think about our conversation going on, and then a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, I think that my presence here today really kind of hopefully helps complement the discussion, because I do completely believe in the value of sound healing and the ways that music can ultimately help promote a better self for the individual, regardless of their age and regardless of their challenges. And that's really part of our mission at the Nashua Community Music School. We are a nonprofit organization We've been around for 32 years, and our main goal is to really promote different music education opportunities in listening, performing, and educational learning opportunities in music for all ages, so that our programming can then complement and improve the spirit and the creativity and the passion of an individual, whether they're 3 years old or a full-fledged adult. I think that's a really important way to become a more balanced member of society.
So would you bring in a spiritually based sound healer like Rama to teach a class or to share the experiences that he does through music with your people?
Well, I would definitely say we need to learn a little bit more about it, but I do think that the essence of what you do sounds very much in line with the goals of a lot of our organization, a lot of the things that our organization has to offer. We just recently started offering a music therapy program, which in a similar vein works to help individuals who are facing different types of challenges, whether they be physical, mental, emotional challenges, in order to overcome and find different modes of expression, whether they're working on communication struggles or whether they're working on finding their own emotional balance. It seems like that type of programming may go hand in hand, although the actual format might be a little bit different. So it's definitely something I'd be very interested to investigate.
I'd rather put you on the spot there, right?
They did.
Who, me?
Yeah, no, he never does.
Very diplomatic.
But Lindsay,
isn't it?
I
They
did
did.
see that you're doing that program, and I was reading up about that, and I realized it's not only for the children, it's also for adults.
That's correct.
And that is like an awesome piece. So, you know, if you're feeling really anxious and stuff, you have a music school. And I also know that if people feel anxious, they have the music school. You also can offer people a scholarship if they need it.
Absolutely. I mean, part of the idea of being a nonprofit organization is that we are a public charity. So it's very important that we are not only offering the highest quality music education opportunities available, but that those opportunities are then available to everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic background. So one of the things that I began in 2014 when I became the executive director of the Nashua Community Music School is a scholarship campaign called the Music for All Scholarship Campaign. And the goal is to attract deserving students, regardless of age, who demonstrate some financial need that could benefit from financial assistance from our scholarship campaign. Now, what I've noticed is that sometimes the difference between making our programs accessible and not being accessible is only a few dollars. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's only $5 a week, $10 a week that can make the difference to making these programs available to students who are really, really in need of this type of unique experience. And that's part of what the Music for All scholarship campaign is about. We offer partial scholarships, full scholarships, as well as work-study scholarships for talented adults who are interested at working for the school to receive credit towards their tuition. It's just a really great way in order to get all walks of life in the doors, expressing themselves, meeting other people with similar goals and things like that.
So earlier today we were talking about, you know, spending time, not just sitting there and watching a TV or playing a video game. Mm-hmm. Are there opportunities for people to come in and say, hey, I'm available to help out?
Absolutely. It actually took a lot of strength for me to not jump in. I was like, I wasn't introduced yet, so I can't say anything yet. But the idea of how do you spend your time, I think that's part of what it is about promoting a better, healthier self. By being involved in music, whether it be on a professional track or as a hobbyist, it really lets you take part of your time and say, this part of my day, I was creative and I was passionate and I was working and investigating new ideas that otherwise I might not have allowed myself to have the time. for. Now, what I've noticed is that often a lot of parents will want that for their children, and they'll mandate, okay, you're going to your piano lesson and you're
Yeah.
going to practice, and I want you to have this experience. And that's wonderful. But I think it's equally important that as students get older, as they get into high school where they're pulled in all sorts of different directions by different activities, or college or adults when they run into their busy working lives, that they still allow themselves to have that type of creative output and that balance. And the Nashua Community Music School is absolutely a place where people can come together to meet new like-minded people who are interested in promoting musical creativity. We often have many opportunities for volunteers who are interested in helping out to support many of our events. This past weekend, we just had our 9th student recital of the year, which is really quite a number.
That's quite a number for this
most
time of the
community
year, yeah.
music schools will have maybe 2 a year.
2.
And we had 3 recitals this weekend in order to be able to give the opportunity for our students to perform. We had about 50 students, just over that actually, be able to have their solo time in the
Yeah.
spotlight. And we're always looking for volunteers to help assist with those events, to help support other types of community workshops that we do that serve the greater Nashua, Hudson, Hollis, Pelham community.
It does. And now, did you ever hear back, like, do any of the students that you've had over the years ever, like, come back to participate or to come back and say, you know, it made me so much stronger when I was working with this, you know, to fulfill what I'm fulfilling today?
Absolutely.
I'm sure you do, but I'm just, you know, does that touch your heart? You know, does that?
Absolutely, of course. You know, one of the things that I love to see is when students come back after they've gone to school. You know, we have a lot of students who go to school and they keep music in their life as a hobby, but then we also have a lot of students who go off to college and they do major in music or musical theater or something related. One of the things that I love doing is bringing back graduates who spent a significant amount of time at the Nashua Community Music School and have them help assist and direct or work as a counselor in some of our summer camp programs. So a lot of folks who go on to major in music education will come back during the summer, continue to develop their own instrument with our instructors, as well as be able to kind of give back to the community and gain that valuable teaching experience in the interim.
You know what I like about that concept is the fact that in the summertime especially, students that are high school students and they're very lost and they have no place to go, nothing to do, and instead of just hanging in the streets or playing the video games, you're actually enabling them something to keep themselves occupied with and actually building their own self-esteem because they're helping to be a little bit of a leader and learning those aspects. So I think that's an awesome piece. You know, that's something we need in our community is to allow our students that are at an older basis the opportunity to have places to go like this.
Well, I also want to go back to something that you said, which is you have the parent that says, here, you're going to take your piano lessons, you're going to take your lessons, you're going to have this creative time, you're going to have this opportunity. How much more powerful it would be if the parent said, and while you're taking your piano lesson, I'm going to take my guitar lesson, and then we're going to do something together. And I'm going to show you that it's as important for me to have that time as you. And, you know, so often parents, and, you know, I deal with my practice, I deal with parents and deal with families and do multi-generational stuff. And it's so true. If you, as a parent, have more joint experiences with your child, like learning to play guitar together or doing something together, when the time comes that they are struggling or there is issues or they're being pulled, they're more likely to come to you. They're more likely to trust you. They're more likely to listen to you. You know, and so when parents come to me and go, you know, I don't know what happened to my child, and I said, well, then you probably weren't paying attention. Because if you'd been paying attention, you would have known what happened to your child. You would have seen it. And so I think that this is a wonderful opportunity for parents and children to do things together.
Absolutely, and because of that, we actually have a family discount So if you are members of the same immediate family, you get 5% off your tuition, to try to encourage families to try to take lessons together or in tandem. We're pretty good about trying, as long as you register ahead of time and things like that, we're pretty good at trying to get all the lessons at the same time. I think one of our greatest scheduling successes where we had a family of 5 and all of them were taking different lessons or classes at the exact same time. That definitely took some work, but that's what we want to do. That's what we want to promote. And we're constantly asking our families who, especially when they have multi-generations involved in the music school, we constantly suggest that they do perform together and that they do play together. So we also offer duo lessons where folks can take lessons together. So siblings of similar age or talent level. Sometimes parent and child, depending on the instrument, if it's technically appropriate, we'll put them in the same duo lesson so that they're learning together.
Boy, did I set you up.
You did.
And I didn't even know I was doing it.
It was great. And our early childhood program, which focuses around the Harmony Road keyboard class series, which is a keyboard group musician class, starts at as young as age 3. And in those classes, the parents are in the classroom sitting right next to the student, and they're learning together. So we've noticed that parents who are maybe new to music are learning to read music and are learning the piano right alongside their toddler age student, which is really wonderful.
Okay, so now I'm going to swing back this conversation for a second.
Yeah.
So many things we
So
talk
many
about,
things,
yeah.
I know. We're very complimentary today.
Yes,
You-
that's why you were both chosen, because we wanted to have a little
Chosen.
Oh
complimentary
yes,
this.
so special.
So, but what I'm hearing is, because I know that Angie looks at the world, in this case, the same way I do, that we have a physical body and an emotional body and an intellectual body, and we have a spiritual body. And any time that some part of it gets ignored, we create imbalance. And so it seems like we have here more of the spiritual side of music sitting over here and more of the technical side, and somewhere in between is the emotional side, and probably the intellectual side again is more over on your side. How do we bring all of this together? Because hundreds of years, thousands of years, hundreds of quotes that make some reference to music and the soul, music and the soul, music and the soul. Yet you had to be diplomatic when it was a spiritual approach.
Yes,
Why?
because people would think she was weird, and she has a job to do. Okay, so I understand.
I don't know.
No. I understand. Now, Lindsay's representing an institution. Okay, so and there are investors, and there's an image to keep up. I totally understand why you say that. Everyone thinks I am weird. I can roll with that. But you ask a question, how does it all come together? Music is relationships, it's proportions. It just is. What I mean by just is when a piece of music doesn't sound right. As a composer, if I'm working on different things and something is even the slightest bit off, it will jar at me like that. I'm very, very sensitive to sound. If you've had someone say to you, I love you, and they haven't meant it, you know it. And someone said to you, I love you, and they mean it, and you know it. And that's what is in music. That's what the heart we're talking about. And the other thing, well, there's a million other things, but another significant thing is with music, it will connect you immediately with a time 30 years ago, 10 years ago, and you'll remember where you were, who you were with, the weather, what you were eating, what you were wearing, what you were going to do. And a bag of chips can't do that. So this is where it all comes together. And if I'm going to represent the more spiritual side of it, which honestly I think you do, but
Just in a different way.
Exactly.
That's all.
Exactly. Music, sound has been there in the temples, mosques, synagogues, churches for we don't even know how long, because it would bring everyone together. We put Pharrell on right now, we'll all hear the same thing. And music raises energy, right? We put on Michael Jackson right now, we're all going to start smiling.
Yes.
When we all start smiling, we start agreeing. When we all start agreeing, things happen. We're here to build community, right? What stops building community from happening? Egos do. Personal dysfunctional will stops it from happening. But you get together, and music is one way of supporting agreements to come together. And by the way, I prefer toning to actual singing, because even with singing in words, you have some variance of thought in there. Okay, so let's look at what's similar going on here. Music, sound being used to bring things together, and can pretty much stop there. I'm not so interested. I have to be interested in the psychic energy system, because it's as real a part of us as this is. I don't enjoy working with that because it's very messy, honestly. I don't enjoy it, but I have to, so I do. But really, the fundamental thing is, do you like something or do you not like something? A 7-year-old that has a guitar flung at them by their rock star parent is probably not going to want to keep playing it because they feel forced to do something. They're handed a guitar like they're handed a broom and told to clean their room or something like that. So you're working with people to support them to enjoy the instruments, to make space and time for it. And that's a gift and that's an art that'll last a lifetime, and you don't even know what else will happen.
Mm-hmm. So honestly, when you give thought to that, it's like music has been around since the beginning of time. Sound has been around since the beginning of time. Even if we didn't have instruments, we had birds in the sky that sang. There's different things of that nature. Wolves that howl. All of those are sounds, and all of those sounds compose into some musical or some spiritual piece as well. So it's all pretty well connected, and it just, like you said, it is what it is. It moves along. Generationally, the only thing that people never lose is the power of the music or the power of sound.
So we are going to now ask each of you to share some upcoming stuff as we are going to wrap down this segment and move into our last segment.
Okay.
So we started with you, so we're going to ask actually Lindsay to tell us what's coming up and how do people find out more about what you do and how to support it.
Sure. Well, the best way to find out more about the Nashua Community Music School is at our website, nashuacms.org, or you can give our main office a call at 603-881-7030. That's the best way to keep up to date. We have an NCMS events page, and that also has all information on all of our programming that happens throughout the year. What's coming up that's very exciting is our series of summer music programs. We have a series of specialty one-week music camps that all have a different theme. We have a flute academy week for those folks who are playing flute in the school band and are looking a way to get more involved. We have a Broadway week where we have a custom tailored show that gives everybody the chance to be a soloist. We have an intro to piano and percussion week for people and students who are interested in getting excited about the instruments for the very first time. We have a Music Around the World week, which is a half-day camp targeted for our littlest musicians at age 3.5 to 6 that gives them an introduction to multicultural music and the different sounds and celebrations of different musical cultures. We have our Summer Strings Week, which is a two-part camp that offers a violin camp focus in the morning and a guitar and ukulele camp focus in the afternoon. So you can register for a half-day session, investigate more on violin, investigate more on your skills on guitar and ukulele. And something you'd probably like if you were a little younger would be our Young Composers Camp, which is our final camp of the season that happens in mid-August, which encourages young students who may not necessarily be super proficient on their instruments, but are interested in creating their own musical ideas, putting them to paper, and learning to create music on the spot. These are all specialty one-week programs, and all throughout that time, we offer convenient summer music lesson packages for anyone of any age. So if you're home for the summer from college, or if you're looking for something extra to do and you want to take some lessons, our faculty are some of the highest quality instructors in the area, all with university degrees, most with master's or doctoral level experience. So they are really able to foster and educate any level of musician, whether you're going to be a hobbyist or you're a pre-professional aspiring musician. And if you're interested in helping out, we are participating tomorrow, Tuesday, June 7th, in New Hampshire Gives Day. Now, New Hampshire Gives Day is an online a donor campaign run by the New Hampshire Center of Nonprofits. So you can go online to newhampshiregives.org and you can select the Nashua Community Music School or over 300 other deserving nonprofit organizations and choose to make a donation on their behalf. It's a widespread state campaign, newhampshiregives.org, and if you do decide to want to give to the Nashua Community Music School, 50% of the donations gifted to the Nashua Community Music School tomorrow, June 7th, during New Hampshire Gives Day, will be given to the Music for All Scholarship campaign. So those are a bunch of different ways to get involved. Please do check our website at www.nashuacms.org.
Well, thank you. That was really very informational.
Once I get going.
You can tell this is not our first rodeo.
Well, I am a performer at the end of the day. That is my focus.
Oh, you're right.
I actually have a weekend workshop that I teach called Everything You Need to Know About Life You Can Learn Through a Broadway Musical.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
Yep, I do music from the 20s all the way up to current musicals and the life lessons they teach.
Nice, nice. Well, there are definitely a lot of lessons in musical theater, that's for sure.
There are.
Not quite as prepared, maybe, for that question. But you've inspired me. Well, I slightly want to be in New Hampshire now, actually. Well, obviously answering on a more general level, I'm writing at the moment. I'm writing a book. There's some things I realize I really want to leave behind me, as it were. I think the most important trait that we can develop right now is our own connection, whatever we do, whatever we're doing. To really understand our intuition, to understand how to develop our... The word abundance has gotten kind of diluted of late, it's been overused, but really how to make what we want to happen. You know, I think everyone should know how to do that to some degree. So I'm writing about that. For people that should wish to want to get in touch, that would probably with me be for a reading of some sort or for distance healing work. My website address is www.innershiningtemple.com. And I'll do an American accent for you. Inner Shining Temple. There we go. InnerShiningTemple.com. Yep. Weddings and bar mitzvahs. Email address info@innershiningtemple.com, and number is 913-574-7682. What else am I doing? So I'm continuing to travel into the summer. Probably the next thing I do is going to be a Crystal Bowls concert. Get to use a beautiful set for that. And otherwise the mind is pretty much blank. Yeah.
Well,
Any more concerts here in New Hampshire?
It's probably going to be next year at this rate.
Okay.
But if you get onto his website and you get into his mailing list or into his loop, when he comes back, you will know about it. So, on Inner Shining Temple.
Your American accent is very convincing.
I think that was an insult. I think I just was insulted. Okay, well, we want to thank you both very much for coming, and we've got like 7 minutes left if I'm reading the clock right.
Good about that, yes.
So normally we're going to be using the last segment doing something called Through the Spiritual Lens. where we are wrapping up the show and anything else going on in the world. But today we were blessed with 2 guests. We're normally going to have 1. So I'm just going to say, Angie, what's the closing thoughts and what's coming up for you?
Well, closing thoughts is I do want to express to everybody that we're very happy to have 2 wonderful guests today to start our show off with. And I always love to start off with music because that to me is everything. So therefore is why I started today off with my 2 beautiful musical people.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
And I also want to, I know that we're going to be doing quite a few shows and we're going to be having a grand time with it. We have some great guests that are going to be planned out. And, next week we look into having everybody know a little bit more about myself and Dr. Kevin and myself. And after that, we're also, we're going to have a little guest speaker here next week because we're going to bring
Dorothy Morgan on. Known as the New Hampshire astrologer.
Yes.
And Dorothy is going to be taking a peek into the rest of June and July for us and kind of giving you more information with which to make better decisions, which is how we kind of look at astrology here at Web of Light, as it's just another tool, another piece of information, and don't give your power away to it. But Dorothy is also going to be doing that regularly on the last Monday of every month.
Monday of every month, and
Good
we're
one.
going to be
Next month.
very blessed that we should have her here because she's really awesome.
She's also going to do the astrology chart for our show.
Oh.
So she's going to actually show you how astrology can be applied to more than somebody's birth date. So,
And I actually, we're coming up to an event. I will be having some events coming up June 25th. We're going to be up at the Hampton. You will be there too, I believe.
yep, I'm with you in the
We're going to be at the
Hampton.
American Legion on 69 High Street, Hampton, New Hampshire. Nice. This is one of our smallest shows, but it's really nice. We have door prizes. We have people that have energy work. We have psychics. We also have some
Psychotics.
Yeah, psychotics. We also have some very gifted people from the area that are artistically talented, which will have some information for us there as well.
Yeah. Well, and
I do want to mention, though, I do want to add that, speaking of sound, we're going to be having on the same date, June 25th. It'll be an evening happening. It will be on my website this week. Gandiva Lorcan, who is a gong sound healer. He's going to be doing a concert that evening
great.
at Hampton Bus.
And what would your website be?
And you can reach me at angiedanjou.com.
Well, also this weekend, you can find me in Nashua on Saturday at the Holistic Self-Care Center on 12 Murphy Drive, where I'm going to be hosting an event surrounded by crystals from 11
crystals.
to 6. So if anybody likes that energy, the sparkle, the sparklies, I'm going to be floating in the world of sparklies all day Saturday. Then Angie and I on Sunday are going to be up in Lewiston, Maine.
That's right,
at a
Lewiston,
Unity-
Maine. Almost
at a-
forgot about that one.
At a Unity, it's a pagan pride day in Maine, and we're going to be doing an event up in Lewiston, Maine. You can find about it at Angie's website or Facebook page or mine. So we have that coming up this weekend. And you can, if you know somebody that you think is a weaver of light, a nonprofit that's doing great work in the world, somebody who's out there doing some extra special stuff and you would think that they would be good for our show, you can either send an email to Angie at angiedanjou.com or to Dr. Kevin at weboflight.com, WEBOFLIGHT. And we would love to get your input, questions, things you'd like us to talk about. If you have a wow that you think that you'd like to have us discuss, send it again to Angie at angiedanjou.com. Or Dr. Kevin, DRKEVIN at weboflight.com. WEBOFLIGHT, just like the name of the show, which we'll talk about how that name came about next
week.
Next show. Until then, be well, be aware. Your time only goes through once. You don't get to relive a single minute of it. You don't want to spend it planning it all away of what will happen when and if, and you don't want to roll around in regrets of what could have been. What is now. And it is a lovely sound, the sound of now. And when you are in it fully, you will be living a lovely life. Thank you so much for joining us for our first show, The Web of Light.